So when we look at the foundation of life being in the blood, it's not the blood cells per se, because the blood cells are also floating in something. So even if I have a awesome formula right outside right now that can give you a clean red blood cell and clean all your red blood cells and all that, if you take a clean object and you sit it in a tub of dirty, oily, nasty water, what is that clean object going to become? Dirty. So how do we address anything in your body if we don't start at the plasma level is beyond me. This is the foundation of your health. And there's no organ in your body that reproduces plasma. And plasma is what connects you to everything outside you. Everything outside you. This entire environment, this planet, the stars, everything comes from plasma. And I'm going to show you in your body with limited time how our body is a de-ionizer and an ionizer. That's all our body is. And when we look at health this way, this is the way I look at health. In terms of electricity, everything gets much more simple. All right? How many women in here ever took a pregnancy test? Okay. Even that pregnancy test is based on electrical signaling. All right? And it just holds the theory. Very simple. If your body's electric, if creating a new life is an electrical activity, to determine if a new life is present, it should also have an electrical signal. So, how does a pregnancy test work? Open this for me, baby. It's very simple. When the placenta's formed, there's a hormone, chorionic gonadotropin hormone. That hormone is an electrical signal, and your pregnancy test is actually based on melanin presence. So when you get a positive score, that's because there was a melanin present in your pregnancy test. Because it's melanin that concentrates the electricity in the uterus that helps you bring a new life in. That's based on a concentration of ions, which is also called plasma. And this is important, all right? Now, this right here is a slide strictly for my atheists, okay? Strictly for my atheists.
That's real black atheists, yo.
That's right. Now,
it's different, yo.
If I had more time, we'd spend more time on this, but atheists, to say God doesn't exist.
That's real black atheists don't say that.
Okay.
They say we understand what it is.
Okay, well, to take away the force that animates the cells of the body would be to equivalent them to a pile of bricks. And there's no way that we could ever see bricks arrange themselves into a building. And then a building that also maintains itself. And then as some of those bricks fall off, it creates new bricks to put in their place. See, so there's a whole, there's a whole host of small tidbits that I could use to deal with that situation. All right?
Yeah, change that slide.
Oh, no. I got this out just because I knew you would be here.
See that? Everybody got a presentation for me.
But to get back to the focus, this is what we have to understand. Life is a constant exchange of plasma. If you don't leave here with anything else, I want you to get this. When we go to the Hebrew, right? We go to Adam, right? Remember, in the Hebrew language, there's no vowels. All right? So you're dealing with D and the M. All right? This also is the same meaning for blood. Okay? This also means the red thermal radiation. See, this is where the science part that we're not getting. All right? The infrared aspect of the electromagnetic spectrum is the part that ionizes your body. This is the part that brings us to life. All right? Now, we could go through all the science, but I like to use analogy so we get it. All right? If a chicken don't sit on the egg don't hatch. The reason why is because the chicken's heat is infrared. Same thing like a mother that just gave birth. You know that when you're breastfeeding anyway. How many women breastfed in here before? Okay. When you're not with that baby, so the baby cross town at your auntie house, your mama house, wherever at. When that baby get hungry, what happened to your breast? That's right. They still start filling up because that is an electromagnetic connection based on infrared frequency between the mother and the child. This is where all life originates. This is the red that we're talking about. Okay? So now, when we go to the heavens, all right? This is important. This is why I put these verses together. Because when it says, the Most High formed man from the minerals of earth and charged, see, this is my translation, and charged those minerals with solar radiation, and then man became a conscious, self-propagating plasma field. See, if I said this same thing scientifically, I would be correct. Nobody would have a problem with it. Nobody would be able to disprove it. If I put it in biblical language and say, then the God breath, the breath of life, then it sounds a little mysterious, it sounds a little magical. If I say this, I'm saying the exact same thing. Scientifically though, this can't be debunked. This is how life is started. All right? This is what your body is made out of. Water and minerals. What keeps those water and minerals alive is that infrared solar radiation, that heat. All right? What holds that in your body is the plasma. That's what holds it in the sky. It's the plasma. So whenever you hear the term dark matter, that's a hoax. They playing games with you. They know you don't know nothing. The scientifically accurate term is dark plasma because it's something living up there. When they say dark matter, they're talking about something that doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a theory still. When they talk about dark plasma, they're talking about where everything comes from. This is important because if you don't understand that this is where all your cells and organs come from, you'll never be healthy. Now you can buy my products forever and I'll keep you healthy, but then you're dependent on me. And I'm your oppressor. And that's not what I'm looking for. I want you to get the information so you're free. Okay, so now, let's go deeper into the Hebrew. The word, mayim, this means water. Mayim means water. Mayim means heaven and sky. This is important for you to get. Because the only difference between water and heaven is one letter. Sheen. Sheen. So even in the Hebrew language, they're telling you. Because the only difference between water and heavens is the sheen. And sheen is the eternal flame or the divine essence, which I just told you is that infrared. Now you can go through the Bible with all the quotes and prove it to yourself. Okay? So the kingdom of heaven is within you. Okay? I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. Which organs make blood plasma? This is very important. This is why doctors have not been able to fix people going deaf. This is why they haven't been able to fix people losing their sight. Because it has everything to do with you losing this plasma that's in your body. And them not knowing how to get you to regenerate it. Because there is no organ that makes blood plasma. Your original supply of blood plasma is made from the last few cells in your morula. Your zygote liquefying themselves to give life to all the other cells. So as your original 16 cells split to the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm, the three layers that we know of as a zygote, the innermost cells liquefy and become your blood plasma. And that's it. You got to take care of that for the rest of your life. Period. So we're going to show some slides. I'm going to show you where it's at. All right? Now this here, it's a lot of science to it, but this just basically explains that sperm, semen, and all vaginal fluids are also plasma. Sperm, semen, and all vaginal fluids are plasma. When you have an electrically charged fluid, that is a plasma. In the physical sciences, a particle is a small localized object to which can be ascribed several physical or chemical properties, such as volume or mass. In male human, sperm cells consist of a disc-shaped head, 5 UN by 3 UN, blah, 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 blah. Semen has an alkaline nature. All right, so once we have a charge, we can establish it in science as a type of plasma. And we go to the vagina, where the fluids in the vagina are acidic, and that's why the male's prostate is healthy, because the prostate provides the thick, cloudy stuff we see in the sperm that gets the sperm from point A to B, yada, yada, yada. So if you're having ejaculation, no cloudy stuff, you might need to see when it's thinking. All right, moving on. All right. So this is some good stuff that's in the Bible. We're going to skip some of this stuff. Get strictly to the healthy stuff. All right? Because right here, what I'm talking about is, well, blood cells and keeping your blood charge up. Now, this is going to be important later when we talk about health, so I'm going to go through this real quick. The lightning strikes on Earth 40 times per second. Every time lightning strikes on Earth, it's one job that it's trying to do: break nitrogen up. Every time lightning strikes, it destroys nitrogen. Every one of those destroyed nitrogen atoms bonds to an oxygen atom. You have nitrite. That can fertilize the soil, grow healthy vegetables, people, animals, etc. Problem: nitrogen not binded to oxygen is very toxic and poisonous. All right, that's one of the reasons why we are keeping these white folks in business with dialysis machines. Okay? Your kidney controls all the water in your body, as well as the body's plasma. Okay? So any problem with blood pressure, any problem with any fluid in your body is going to be a kidney issue. Okay? The only boss the kidney has to answer to is the parathyroid and the thyroid. Okay? Those are the organs that govern kidney movement. So sometimes if there's a kidney or water issue, we can deal with the kidney. Sometimes we gotta go parathyroid, thyroid. Our sisters, I'm sure y'all know what that is. All right? If you're not getting iodine in your diet, you're gonna have some of those issues. All right? Now, this came up earlier. All right, so I like to address this because people ask Minister Inky, why are you not talking about gun deaths in the community? You know how much gangsters is killing up the black people, killing black people, black, all that. Yeah. Every year this number is always the same. It's about 30,000. It never changes. Every year, homicides, about 11, 12,000 in this country. Of those 11, 12,000 homicides in this country, maybe half black on black crime or gang violence. So maybe 5,000 a year. People are like, well, that's a lot, Minister Inky, that's like 5 niggas a day. That's cool. If we look at accidental deaths by the medical system, we had almost 1 million. So I spend my time over here with the million. Because that's almost 1,000 niggas a day? 5,000? I don't know how many. More. A lot. So this is our issue. And this is accidental. This is accidental. Now from the school I'm from, the medical system looking to kill niggas on purpose. So they didn't count them. This is 1 million of y'all we thought we was letting escape. Went down. You went to the hospital with a headache, you left with something you can't get rid of. You had a twisted ankle, went to the emergency room, right? See? So we talking about stars and moon and all that, we getting deep. Niggas ain't talking about nothing real. Let's talk about getting black folks to use the right entrance at the hospital. Huh? I know people 30, 40, 50 years old that never been to the hospital through the front entrance. It's always emergency room. Because you ain't got no money. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no insurance. So you go in emergency room. What's an emergency room? Other blacks, Mexicans, and new niggas to the country. Yeah. White folks goes to where they set up their own hospitals. So when you go in and they go in, y'all going in 2 different hospitals. Same building, 2 different hospitals. You go into a Jewish place, Jewish folks set that place up for their children, their family. You in the wrong place. Chinese folks, you do not see Chinese people in the emergency room. You know why? Because they go in to see Chinese folks. Only Chinese folks you see is the ones where, you know, they wearing, like everybody got on a marriage outfit. So you know something's going on. They just got here 5 minutes ago. They ain't linked up with the rest of the Lees and the Waynes yet. Yeah. As soon as they hook up with their folks, they out of emergency room. We the only ones in there. And there's nothing in there but incubation of disease and virus and bacteria. And because we don't understand that, we don't realize where we're going. Bacteria and viruses attract. So when you go to the emergency room, you're actually going to like a bacteria virus smoothie. Everybody in the city that's sick going to the same room. Let's go here. Everybody. No matter what you got. No. Cancer? Come in here. What you got? Flu? Come on in here. Come on in. No, sit right here. What, your daughter got a nosebleed? You sit her right in between tuberculosis and influenza. You sit her right there. And we in there. We loaded. Then, you're going to ask me questions in reference to them. Well, Miss, think you know when I went to the emergency room, the nurse told me, okay, stop. You might need to go back to the emergency room. I'm not even going to get ready to deal with you. And Dr. Oz, the nurse, none of these white folks. You need to read some other books before you see Minister Inky. I'm not for you. I send people to white folks all the time. Oh, I'm not giving up chicken because my mama, hold up, let me stop you right there. You need to go to emergency. You don't need to come see me. What I got don't work for you. If you think you're going to see me and still drink Pepsi and get you some ribs and order some Chinese food tonight, you're sadly mistaken. Because you're not getting ready to mess my business up. You're not getting ready to mess up what I'm building for my children. You see? So I'll turn you away. I don't care if people say, oh, well, I ordered from Minister Inky and it took me 1,000,000 years to get my package. Did you get your package? Was everything in it? Okay. Did it work? Okay. That's it. I'm not willing to take your thing because you done bought the package and you followed the instructions, except for the part where you had the exercise. Except for the part where I said get you some fresh sunlight. Except for the part where I said put down the salmon. Oh, well, Minister Inky, this fish. So I'm still a vegetarian. No, you're not. Stop it. You're not. See, if you let more white folks confuse you. Then he came up with 10 different words to be called, oh no, I'm a vegetarian, no, I'm a pescatarian. Hold on, you drink milk? Or you eat bread? What you doing? See, that's confusion.
That's right.
Originally, the word vegetarian just meant herbivore. So if you eat all plants, you're a vegetarian. It don't matter which ones it is. All plants, vegetarian. If it's not a plant, then you're not a vegetarian. Once that came in, once Dick Gregory walked, he walked or he ran from Cali to New York. He said, oh, niggas getting strong again. We got to stop this. We got to create confusion. You see, if you follow Dick Gregory, what Dick Gregory did, get paid for speaking his mind and staying in shape. See, niggas see that, then they want to start emulating that. That's dangerous. That's black power. Getting a bunch of money is not black power. See, a bunch of poor people, money is black power. We got more billionaires now than ever before.
That's right.
Top 20 rappers control over $20 billion in business, retail. Money's not our problem. We're dying faster with more money than we were without it. In fact, some of the degenerative illnesses that people ask me about were lumped together in one disease called rich man's disease. High blood pressure, diabetes, all that. All was a part of rich man's disease. You know why it was called rich man's disease? Because only rich men over 100 years ago could afford to eat meat.
That's right.
Nobody ate meat. So these cats be like, yo, son, show me a civilization where, you know, niggas was vegetarian and all that. I'm like, yo, son, show me one where they weren't. Because you so stupid because you read something. See, reading sometimes make you stupid if you don't do more reading. You read one book, you authority. How you authority? You read one book.
There you go.
Who was the author? How was he in authority?
That's right.
What if he was the F-up of his whole generation? You read his one book, now you're in authority. That's where confusion happened. Because when we go back to King Arthur and all these baloney things that we keep thinking of as real history, we looking at kings. We looking at pharaohs with meat on the table. Nobody else had meat on the table. Nobody else had meat on the table. It wasn't even common for you to think it was going to be meat on your table. Like, that was crazy. You walked in and seen meat. The first thing was, oh man, we celebrating? Like, what is that? So everybody was vegetarian. Period. There was no time when they were, oh, well, show me. No, everybody was. And when you see the meat thing start slipping in, that's when the generation starts to slip in, because the mind of the animal starts to infest your psyche because his blood is in your body. his RNA and his DNA is in your body. See, this science thing make it common sense. When you eat plants, there is no competing RNA and DNA to influence yours. When you take in the flesh of an animal, you have his RNA and DNA competing with yours. Now, let's take it a step further. What is the definition of a virus? Foreign RNA or DNA. Let me do that one more time. Because if I don't do that again, we're not going to get it. The definition of a virus is foreign DNA or RNA. Period. So they say, well, minister, when you eat chicken, you know, like we cook it, we kill all the bacteria because we cooked it. You cannot kill the viruses because the virus is the chicken. It's the whole chicken. The whole thing. The whole chicken is foreign DNA to you. It's a virus. Your body has to fight against it. Some of us, our bodies are strong enough to do that. Some of us, we can't. That's where epigenetics comes in. What inheritance are we leaving our children generation to generation? And all this stuff I talk about, I can prove it, not only scientifically, but I can line my kids up and show them to you. So I can line my kids up and show you that my first 2 children had messed up teeth like their daddies, but after that, it changed, and then his teeth got straight again. And what's the science on that? Because they asked me, Daddy, what's that about? I said, well, Daddy didn't always have messed up teeth. When I was like 7 or 8, I fell off the sliding board. And instead of my teeth falling out, they all went in the gum. So I had 2 sets of teeth in there. They had to cut my mouth and it got a little crazy. But the epigenetics, I passed that trait on 2 times. After that was no longer a part of my reality, and I changed my lifestyle, that person didn't exist anymore. My body started passing on the original traits again. My younger children don't have that. And they don't have their mother's teeth, because I can show you my son, my wife, they got the same teeth. My wife has a gap. If it was her teeth, they would have gaps. They don't. This is epigenetics. This is what you pass on to your children directly that they can't find in the DNA. But they know it's a new trait because it didn't exist prior to the parent. The grandparents don't show it. This is epigenetics. This science we've been knew. We've been knew this science. But we get confused when we deal with skin versus blood. See, so even the racial issues, we get confused. Skin versus blood. Skin versus blood. So we look at some of the things the Egyptians left us. If we looking on face value, skin versus blood, it's like, yeah, they said they were black, but they were brown, but they painted the brown, the black, and the white was what? Then you gotta say, okay, all right, snap out of it. Modern day. Where can you see an example of that? Oh, Obama. Perfect example. Skin say what? Blood say what? Okay. All right. See? So we didn't play these games in ancient times. We knew what time it was. We knew what time it was. It was like, okay, all right, you look one, okay, let's check the blood. Because we know based on your blood, you have personality traits. So we know that there's a specific type of personality trait associated with specific blood types. So we didn't have so much traitorous, mutinous type of behavior because we was rooting niggas out early. Whoop, you don't belong. Whoop, you don't belong. Whoop, you don't belong. So of course the caste system was ours. The problem with the caste system came when we had it flipped upside down on us. All right, so this is why Minister Inky spends more time with this. All right? Now, this is real Morse code. All right? But I'm not going to go too deep into this because this requires time. This is what we was talking about earlier. The brother was asking about which haplogroups and all. Once you start talking about haplogroups and you don't start off with single nucleotide polymorphisms, you're in the wrong conversation. You're talking about something you heard about, not something you know about. Okay? These S&Ps right here, these are what differentiates one person's gene code from another. one group of people's gene pool from another. These are differences that when you line up DNA together, you can see, okay, these characteristics, whether we know what they are not present in the rest of these groups. And now we can date and age these differences. And they call it S&P, single nucleotide polymorphisms. That's right. This is what we have to begin to understand the code that's written in our DNA, to understand this skin and blood game that's being played on us. Okay? Because we look at the royal families on this planet, money moves by what? Heritage, blood. If a queen or a king get off that throne, the only way you're going to get on that throne is what? Blood. Okay, all right. So we talk about we was kings and queens at one point. How are we going to get back on that? Blood. Okay, how are we going to stay healthy? Blood. How are we going to secure the things that we build today to pass to our children? Blood. Okay. And if a nigga get crazy and try to take something, how are we going to get that? Okay, all right. See, this is what the ministers deal with. All right. Now, right here is something that I just have this here real quick. We're not going to spend no time on it. This right here is just something I know this might debunk the ladies. I'm going to get some ladies to send me messages and all that. That's fine. Paternal inheritance of mitochondrial DNA. Because we was led to believe that only a woman could pass on mitochondrial DNA. But see, I got to talking one day with Ali Muhammad, and I'm like, yo, you know, my daughter, she just do this thing like my mom's, and I can't figure this out. And he's like, word, you too? And we just went crazy. Started researching, and sure enough, there's evidence that fathers can pass on mitochondrial DNA. And this is why some men see traces of their moms and their sisters in their children. It's simple. Scratch a lie, find a thief. Right?
Hey,
all right.
Hey, Miss Inky, I'm just saying real fast, the evidence never said it was just a woman. It said most of it is the woman. But right. You could always, I think we kind of promoted it, right? Because even I probably said that, but the truth is some of it can come through the father.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
But the European scientists, they keep us boxed in there. Because once we boxed in that point, that disempowers our sisters and our mothers, because now it's a unilateral inheritance.
But not only European, but those of us who look like us who don't study.
That's right.
Who don't study, because before you and Ali was like, yo, let me go research, you was one of the ones that was what I call a parrot head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that you're a parrot head, but to go study, we repeat things without going into it. And then
correct. That's right. And we all have to learn better.
Yeah,
and let me say this. I think that a lot of us get caught into thinking that we're so smart, we can't do that. A lot of us get caught, and that's why I made sure I got you on the mic. I made sure I got King Noble on the mic, because it's important to me to recognize the people that have been identified as leaders in the community that still go back into the community to study. I'm at every lecture that's in my town, even outside of our lectures, that the white boys come in and talk about. I'm all over them. They all know Minister Nikki. The number one, it's a European lady. She be on me, white lady. She's supposed to be the #1 specialist for white blood cells. I be giving her fevers. I know she go to sleep and wake up, chills thinking about Minister Nikki. We tearing her whole thing up. What good the white blood cells did in the body? Show me. Prove it. Oh, well, you know, they kill off. Show me. White blood cells killed by viruses and bacteria. Why people get sick? You loaded with white blood cells. They can't stop a cold. Niggas ain't stop chickenpox. Flu, nothing. So then what they doing there?
She can't answer that.
She can't answer that. That right there, she can go into some science, some big 12 and 13. Baby, when I was showing you that research, Amber, no Instagram. When I was showing you that research, didn't I show you that big 19-letter word? And we was laughing? 19-letter words. This is how they play with us. Most of us not going to sit down and take the time out, break it down. I teach them the 19-letter words. I want them to know each part of it, what it means. So when we think of the word amino acid, we're not confused between what's amino acids and what's proteins. An amino acid is the combination of an ammonia molecule and a carboxylic acid molecule coming together. So that's where you have the amino acid, that's ammonia, which is nitrogen and hydrogen together, and carboxylic acid, which is carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. And the reason your body combines those things is because it's trying to neutralize the dangerous effects of nitrogen in your body. And where do we get most of our nitrogen from? Breaking down protein. Mushrooms too. Yeah. Mushrooms is loaded with ammonia. All right? So, blood plasma, very important. 55% of what we consider our blood is blood plasma. All right? 55%. 60% by some people's counts. Mushrooms have a lot of ammonia and nitrogen, so stay away from them. Make a long story short. Your blood plasma is where all your nutrients are carried. Now this is important because a lot of us in our community are dealing with hypertension and high blood pressure. If we're not taking a look at this, we'll never understand high blood pressure because you have different types of blood pressure in your body. You have one blood pressure, gentlemen, you got one blood pressure, which is the common blood pressure, which is basically the pressure that the blood exerts on the circulatory system, the tissues, and the organs to push out toxins. So you have a problem. Immediately, when you have high blood pressure, that means there's too much toxins in your blood that the blood has to constantly work on pushing out. That's number one. So they say, well, Minister Inky, you coming with a cleanse and you're dealing with high blood pressure. I'm like, yeah, ask the people that don't have high blood pressure no more if it works. Works, do the research, or take the cleanse, or go see white folks. That's it. Those are my options for you. Research is always open. I got online classes, books, DVDs. You can find me somewhere. If you see a Whole Food somewhere, if I'm in your town, probably in your Whole Food. It's the safest place I can find, all right? Safest, not safe. Stay GMO'd out too. All right, but this is important because everything, all of the nutrients is carried through your body in the plasma. The electrolytes, the hormones, the vitamin D. Black people in America, vitamin D deficient, 95%. Why? You have issues in your blood plasma. Your blood plasma cannot carry your vitamin D. Running around saying, parents can't identify with the children. How are we going to get together? Nobody loves you more than the people that created you. You can't identify with them. What's happening? Okay. All right. Rick Ross is what's happening. Maybach music. Huh? No, because see, listen. When I tell y'all that we got to go into that book, I'm trying to explain to y'all what hell look like. You see, I deal with this. This is what hell look like. See, this is what hell look like. This is what it look like. And I can have the brother come back up here that's an expert in the Qigong, and he can tell you that illness is a process of drying and burning out the body from the inside out. That's the same thing they said in the Bible, ain't it? Okay, just different language. We confused. All right. See, heart surgery. Somebody who can't even live on their own, that's hell. You got to have help from your enemy to live. How you going? What kind of dynamic is that? Only thing keeping you alive is the nigga hate you. White folks keeping you alive. Where we going? All right, we're going to skip that. All right. Cortisol. I want to talk about cortisol real quick before we wrap up, because this is important. Cortisol, as you look, you will notice that there's no nitrogen in cortisol. There's no carbon in cortisol. Cortisol is strictly oxygen and hydrogen. Cortisol is the chemical stored in your liver that's released into your plasma, your blood plasma. And what it does is puts copper in your blood plasma, and that copper keeps the electricity high, destroys the bacteria, the viruses, all of the fat cells called adipocytes and adipose tissue, etc., etc., etc. Problem with cortisol. Cortisol is only released 2 times in the body. It's released when we do excessive exercise. When I say excessive, I mean where you're working up a good sweat. And it's also released in the body when we fast. But see, this is a problem right here. I'm gonna show you the problem. Oh, this is the problem. This is why we don't fast, right? This right here, Grandma and Rick Ross. Grandma and Rick Ross stopped us from fasting. You know why? Because Grandma was broke, she ain't have no money. Okay. Because Grandma was broke and she ain't have no money. Grandma thinks it's a problem if you go to bed hungry. Grandma feels like she personally failed herself and her kids if you go to bed hungry. Grandma really didn't spend no time reading the Bible, or she would know that everybody in the Bible fasted as a regular way of life. Everybody in the Quran fasted as a regular way of life. You're not hurting them kids by letting them go to bed hungry, you helping them. You helping them. But because Grandma had the poverty consciousness and Rick Ross has the super concentrated poverty consciousness, you think if you can't eat, you're doing something wrong. So now we load up on things like this. Because when money get funny, we get what we can afford. French fries always on deck. Always on deck. Just like crack. And the reason is they're the same, almost the same thing. 97% of crack cocaine is starch. Just like a French fry. 97% of crack cocaine is no different than a French fry. See, so I don't even got to go through none of this. I'm gonna just leave all that. We don't got to talk about none of that. All we need to know is that 97% of crack cocaine is the same as a French fry. All right. So now I'm gonna just go through and show you where this plasma's at in the body, and we out. All right. So real quick, in the brain, the ventricles, all of these areas surrounds the brain. Plasma. All right? There's something that you have to know about the body. None of its cells can work outside of water. It's like fish. Every cell and neuron has to be submerged in water to work. All right? So you look at the brain. We're going to look at the lungs. See the lungs? Surrounded by this bag that keeps them submerged in plasma. All right?
That's to maintain the electric current?
That's right. And your heart. Look at your pericardium. It's a bag that keeps the heart submerged in plasma. None of this stuff can work without this plasma. 70% of all cardiovascular disease has nothing to do with what you eat. Has everything to do with this fluid is drying out. Once this fluid dries out, they want to give you a new heart.
Can that be reversed in plasma?
Yes. You can clean your lymphatic system and you can recharge your body's plasma. All right? So we get into this. We get into the eyes. When you look at the eye, the entire eye is filled with that plasma. When you look at the ear canal, what makes and sustains the sound, your brain's ability to interpret it, is the water on the inside of it. All right? And we can go through the entire endocrine system, blah, blah, blah. We can go to the hair. I guess we should do this real quick and then we'll wrap. All right, well, we'll just talk about this real quick. The windmill, all right? The windmill, they got this again from your hair. And the way this works is simple. As wind blows on your hair is snuggled into what we know of as a follicle. Inside that follicle, you have stem cells and you have a sweat duct. Inside that sweat duct, that sweat gland releases colostrum. Ladies, what is colostrum? That's right. But it's not just for breast milk. All right? It's in every follicle in our body, because every follicle where you have a hair growing from houses stem cells. Your body cannot be healthy without those stem cells to regenerate the tissues and organs. If we don't have hair health, you don't have tissue health, you don't have electrical health, Below that follicle is a pool, a lymphatic system that links all the waterways in the body. This is how electricity is generated and added to the plasma. Okay? So if we don't walk around naked at some point, okay, we in trouble. All right? That's a problem. I know a lot of people that don't spend any time naked. People's like, well, when is the you talking about? You need to be naked. Wasn't you born that way? Clothes is an invention. You got to put the inventions down if you want to get back to nature. Clothes is an invention. Every year as bras get stronger, breast cancer goes up. Breast was never made to stay still. They just like testicles, they got to move and bounce. So while you're getting super bra, steel bra, platinum bra, magnificent bra, never move again bra, you're definitely locking yourself into breast cancer. You're gonna have it, okay? So you're wearing bras, ladies, for no apparent reason sometimes. You in the house all alone with a bra on. Why you got a bra on? Nobody's there but you. What you doing with a bra? You in the house all day on Saturday. What you put deodorant on for? Why you do that? Let yourself go sometime naked and natural. Open the windows up. Feel the wind on your body. Your skin got to breathe. If it don't never open up, how it's gonna breathe?
Is it true that you also breathe through your skin?
Correct. We definitely breathe through our skin. And more so toxins out than breathing in. So when we don't allow our skin that time, we hinder our body's ability to even cleanse ourselves at night and rebuild.
Yeah, so what you saying kind of gives this, I don't know if you heard about it, this video floating around on YouTube, on the
YouTube,
internet.
go ahead.
About this black Christian preacher that's got ordered, told all of the women that they should come to church with no bra and no panties on. And he got them all sitting in the middle of the front row. And he said in order for them to get closer to Jesus, then they had to do that.
I'm gonna sit my little
Is that the same one who had him out there eating grass too? Yeah. Get close
I don't know if that's the same one. I heard about that too, yeah.
Well, let's say this. Let's say this. Let me reach. Let me get in my Plastic Man. That's how I know how old you is, if y'all remember Plastic Man, the cartoon. If not, then. So I'm gonna reach for this one, my Plastic Man, like my Plastic Man arm. Like I'm gonna reach. And I'm gonna say, you could meet the Creator if we talk in sexual terms where you get to take part in creation by recreating. However, outside that, coming to church with no bra or panty on, while you have on your dress and everything else on, we moving forward. All right. So, this is your body's lymphatic system, and what I want to tell you about it is very important. You have 3 times as much fluid in it as your circulatory system. It has no pumps. So you have to move in order to exercise. All right? Okay. So, with that, I'm gonna close so we can get some Q&A and leave people some time to get some products and stuff and do some specific questions on specific situations. If somebody got something they want to deal with, we can do that. All right? But let me say this, and then I'll go to y'all. Changing your diet is not enough. You have to have a complete organ bath. You got to clean all the organs in your body. When we do detoxes, a lot of times we concentrate too much just on your gastrointestinal tract, your liver, or your kidneys. You got to deal with everything in your body. You got to deal with the cerebral spinal fluid. You got to deal with the spleen. The spleen is probably the most under-loved organ in your body. All of your organs and tissues house their stem cells there. Your spleen is a stem cell bank. No spleen, you on a clock. Period. Like you're on a serious clock. We comfortable because everything in our body is constantly regenerating itself. No spleen, that stops. You're on a clock at that point. All right? So everything in our body has to be dealt with. So we go to questions.
How you get your arms in the back?
You want to incorporate a whole new lifestyle in order to do that. So one thing I could direct you to is the products. The herbs to clean out the various areas of the body, help tonify, That's just one part. We want to make sure we get adequate water. That's free, I don't sell it. We want to make sure we're getting enough sunlight. That's key, because there's no UVB in North America, period, excluding Lower Miami and parts of Texas and Arizona. There's no UVB in North America from September till April, period. So if you're a black person, you can't get the right amount of sunlight in North America. We don't belong here.
So is that have to deal with vitamin D?
Yes, ma'am. And from April to September, when there is UVB radiation in North America, it's only from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And then the southern states too?
Period.
Okay.
In the southern states, it stretches from like 10 to 2. So you get like an extra 2 hours, but we still starving. And when you get out there, Mom doesn't feel well. Okay, my wife has a broken leg, so that means that my time is running. My spleen is up. All right, so, but wait, I'm gonna come right back to you. So, the key is also to know if you're not getting, if your body is not exposed 60% to the sunlight, you're not getting enough. So even if you're outside at noon on the tip of Miami, if you got on what any of us have on in this room, you're still not going to get enough sunlight because not enough parts of your body is exposed. It's like when they create solar panels. The solar panel has to reach a certain amount of exposure before enough free electrons can be produced to get a current. Same thing in your body.
So what's the best vitamin D supplement then?
Well, I would say limelight, but there's no replacement for just sunlight. Then if you go on to citrus fruits will confer some of that stuff. So I got a long list of the foods, the diet, and all that in my book called The Melanin Mind. Stay out there. All right? And then...
So is it true that the earlier you go out, the sun is better for vitamin D?
No, that's an absolute falsehood, and that's why most niggas that's out there sun gazing don't get no benefits. They just get starry-eyed. Right? Because the stuff that we're looking for, the nutrients in the sun comes in the vitamin, the UVB and the UVC radiation. And if we don't get none of that, we done for. UVC barely even hits the planet at all, so we're lucky for that. The second problem is we have to have cholesterol in our blood in order for vitamin D to be created. So a lot of us that have high blood pressure or high blood pressure running in the family, we go to get blood pressure medication, which usually is a statin drug that limits the body from producing cholesterol. So now if we have a limited amount of free cholesterol floating in the body, it don't matter how much sun we get, we could be thrown into the sun. There's still no cholesterol available to be converted into vitamin D.
So why do they say...
To stay away from cholesterol?
Yeah.
Because they want to keep us confused. So as long as they can paint this picture where cholesterol gives us heart disease and not sugar, then we can keep on purchasing Kool-Aids and all this foolishness for our children, loading them up on sugar, setting them on the course for heart disease, because sugar dries your body out faster than anything else. That dehydrates your body faster than anything in the world. So I don't use no sugar products. Never.
Thank you.
Only to be cordial. But other than that, you would never see like nothing I prepare or that's prepared by anybody in my family has sugar in it. We don't do brown sugar. We don't do nothing sugar. If it says sugar, it's wrong. You want some sweetener? Put maple syrup in there. Maple syrup too expensive, get agave, but agave is made with mold. So you need to know, you can do the agave if you want, but it's made with mold. Brother, and then
Coconut crystals.
Coconut crystals are good. Hard to find, so you might not want to create the Jones for them, but I like coconut crystals. I use those too.
I have more or less a comment. I used to talk to a person who took a food science and human nutrition course at the University of Florida.
Yes, sir.
And she appeared white, but she was from Nicaragua, so she had a lot of black people in her family too. And they told them in the class that black people get a whole different set of readings medically and nutritionally than white people. So when they make these medicines and antibiotics, they're done in doses that act counterproductive to our body.
That's right. That's right. That's a huge problem. let me just give that a preface. Anytime that we go into a hospital that we did not build,
that's right,
we're using a template that does not belong to us. Now here's the problem with that. If we were white folks, that would be awesome for us. Because white folks, no offense, they have the worst set of genetics, naturally. So anytime they walk into a hospital, it's either based on their genes or anybody else's, which puts them in a better position. We're the opposite. We have the most gifted genes, which puts us at a downward slope anytime we go into a hospital where the template is not us. Because naturally, if you put a black person next to a white person, the white person is sick, period. A healthy white person, you put that body next to a black person, that black person would look sick. I can give you a prime example. Let me give you one example real quick and then I'm gonna go back to the floor. Your parathyroid. Your parathyroid is not actually one organ. It's a group of organs and it sits inside the thyroid, all right? Now, here's the trick. You can have anywhere from 4 up to 10 of them. 4 up to 10 of them. Now, the ethnic groups have it spread out, with black folks having the most of them. Black folks have the most of them, so we have 7, 8, 9 of them. Some of us 6 of them. We got a bunch of them in there. What does the parathyroid control? It controls the water system in the body, right? Don't we all got high blood pressure, dialysis, right? So our water system throw it off because we're using a template that don't belong to us. Your parathyroid controls your blood's ability to alkaline itself. So this is why once the thyroid goes down, it's over for y'all. And the black women know that the most. You start getting fat, you start getting tired, you can't do nothing. You eat one sandwich, it's like you ate 20 sandwiches. You don't know what's happening. Because that same part of your body that controls alkalinity also controls your metabolism. So that's the center of your body's defenses. In fact, if we want to take it back further, I would even say, it's a theory of mine. This is Minister Inky's theory. But the shape of your thyroid is the original shape of a shield. And that's the center of your body's defenses right here. So when we see those shields, like the shape of the shield like that, that's the shape of your thyroid. And that's what it do for your body. That's your body's front line of defense. That's the part of your body that's always at war with white blood cells from the time you get here. From the time you get here. So that we got to tonify, and that's the reason why a lot of us deal with issues, because we don't have iodine in our diet and we're not basing it off our template. So when we see our body barely able to alkaline itself based on a white template, you're all right. But black people are highly alkaline naturally. That's why we're so dark. That's the carbon. In fact, that's the definition. So don't let nobody fool y'all after y'all leave here. The definition, scientific definition of organic means that there is carbon in the molecular structure of whatever we're talking about. So if we're talking about a mushroom, if it's organic, then it has carbon in it. If it doesn't have carbon, it's not organic. So now we're talking about people. If the people don't, okay. All right, so we want to the next question. There we go.
Okay, I have a question. What about the virus? Going back to what you said about the virus. Okay, we've been taught that the virus is a non-organism and has to have a host cell in the body. So the question is, how did the virus get into the human population? How did it exist in the human body?
How did viruses in general?
Yeah, it exists in the human body. It is a non-organism.
It's not a non-organism. That's a misnomer that scientists created. Listen, I'm going to explain it to you.
Well, we've been taught that, though.
Right, and that's why we got to be untaught about that. That's what I do. In fact, I got the DVD out there called Virology 101. And we talk about viruses in depth, how they transmitted through the nose, the different types, the different classifications. What's a class A, class B versus class C virus, the differences. What are H proteins? What are N proteins? So we're watching the news and we hear H5N12. What does that mean, Minister Inky? Because I get tons of those phone calls. H3, 4, what does that mean? That means if you get that, you might be dead. Nigga, I said eat plants.
Okay. So
So listen, I'm gonna tell you, the way those got around in circulation in 2 ways. A, we started to forget who we were. And I'm gonna tell you why that's important. Because our job on this planet is to protect all the life forms on it, not to eat them. So once we forgot that we were the guardians of this planet, everything else started to slip. Everything started to slip. Number 2, viruses in the air, airborne viruses, are a natural defense system for animals that are trying to stop their own end of their bloodline. For instance, chickens look at humans on Earth as the most vicious, vile creatures on the planet. They are diametrically opposed to our existence. So, birds have started to produce bird DNA. They have started to shed bird DNA to protect themselves from the predators that's killing them. So when we inhale bird RNA or DNA, and that RNA or DNA seeks to reproduce inside our body. Don't fall asleep yet, baby. I'm still answering your question. And as that RNA and DNA as that RNA and DNA starts to replicate inside our body, they will call that, they won't even call the replication process, they will call the symptoms associated with the foreign RNA or DNA replication process in our body, avian flu. And what that means is that that strain of DNA and RNA came from birds. And if we trace all the viruses back, we will see that viruses only come from domesticated animals, animals that live in close proximity to people. Those are the animals that are subjected to our degenerative lifestyle. So as we start to put horses, and we enslave horses. See, we don't get it. Horses is not here to carry shit on their back for us. So as we enslave horses and we kill horses, and then we have horses rape other horses because we want the produce from those 2 horses. Those horses don't like each other. But we like that size horse and we like that horse. So we're going to trap them off in the room when they're horny, and we're going to hit them with sticks and prods and big ass knives until they reproduce. And we think that there's no repercussion for that. This is how the universe sets in place checks and balances, systems of karma to keep us in line. But if we ignore these things and we keep going, we have more real estate in America. 3/4 of the real estate in America is for farmland. So as we have more land in this country for animals that are being raised strictly to be killed and eaten, while humans are homeless on the street, we have karma to deal with, one of which is viruses. And those viruses spring up from every domesticated animal. And until we understand that every virus, every form of RNA and DNA that is not our own is a virus, we always gonna be sick.
Okay, so what are you saying overall altogether about the virus, like?
I'm telling you the origin. Now, if you're asking me how we protected ourselves from these things, this is the
right.
Right.
You're saying that it comes from the animal. That's the
Correct. Correct. And anytime that they talk about a virus, they'll tell you the animals it come from. When they say avian, they telling you a bird. When they say swine, they telling you that came from a pig. So when you listen to the name, they tell you the origin of where it came from. When they tell you H1N1, they're just telling you the different proteins associated with the outer coat of the viral envelope. Now that gets even deeper, because when you deal with viral envelopes, which is how they classify viruses, that tells you nothing about the RNA and DNA that's inside that envelope. So when you get into weapons of mass destruction, that's the true weapon of mass destruction. It's not a nuke, it's not a bomb, it's a genetic information that I could pass around the world that fast, and a lot of times without a trace. So most of us don't realize that the second part of an illness is more important than the first one. It's the cleanup. Meaning, if you get swine flu, right? You come down with swine flu, all right? Nobody wants to put their hand up and say they had swine flu, but if you live here, you done had some flu. You done had some swine flu, because it's popular. If you ever had a flu, 9 out of 10 times it was from a pig or a bird, all right? So you had some, all right? The symptoms that we associate with feeling bad are your body's response to that foreign DNA replicating inside you over and over and over. The moment that replication stops, the symptoms go away. We feel good. We go back to school, we go back to work, we go back to our life, easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, easy. We never give it a second thought. But we don't think about all those pig cells that done duplicated in your body. You done had RNA and DNA from a pig duplicated in your body. See, niggas tells me they don't eat pork, they Muslim. But you just had swine flu. Nigga, you are pork. You pork. Hold on, we can't share nothing together. Don't drink off my drink. You swine flu. See?
Can I piggyback off of that too? Because I was watching TV one day.
Don't piggyback off nothing.
No pun.
Veggie back.
There was a headache medicine called Botox. And then I paused the screen. It said botulinum toxin A is the actual official name for it.
Right.
I looked up botulinum toxin. It causes neurological disorder. But what they do is they give you a neurological inhibitor to mask the pain. It's not really addressing anything. It's
Correct.
Brain damage.
Correct. And the bigger thing, and this brother Sharp is all get out. The bigger thing is that for psychiatrics, they only have 2 types of medicines: vasodilators and vasoconstrictors. Period. Because they don't know anything. So they know it's a lot of electrical activity in the brain. So if there's a problem, they say, oh, well, we know the electricity is in the blood. So then let's slow down the blood to the brain. Get too much electricity up there. Or there's not enough electricity in the brain, so let's give them a vasodilator, open up the blood vessels and get more blood flow to the brain. But they don't know nothing specific. And then people ask me about the plants. Minister Stinky, what's in that herbal combination? Well, why don't you go ask them white folks what's in that damn Tylenol? Why don't you go ask them that? You want to ask me what's in the plants? It's plants! When you go get a prescription, they tell you to take 10 Zilzildoxil. You don't ask them nothing. You go and you take it, hoping for the best. And then every 6 months you hear, have you or your loved ones taken Zilzildoxil? You or someone you know may be liable to get damages. If anyone you know has had a heart attack, they're dead, they're dizzy, they're vomiting blood, call us. 1-800 such and such and such. Every 6 months that happens. Every 6 months. But it never fails. When I put the herbs on the table, Minister Inky, what's in that? Because, you know, I don't know if I can take those plants, you know. That plant might not go well with my medication. I had a brother call me up 2 summers ago. I still work with this brother every day. I just started working with other members in his family. I love him like my play cousin. He called me up, he said, Minister Inky, they told my aunt that she had to stop eating grapefruits with her medication because the grapefruits could kill her if it was combined with this medication. I said, hold on. I said, okay. No, that's cool. I had to gather myself for a minute though, because I was like, damn, white folks never surprise me. Medication plus fruit equals death. Stop eating the fruit. So my problem with him was, I said, she didn't stop eating the grapefruit, right? Well, you know, she did stop eating the grapefruit and now I said, well, there you go. White folks getting cocky now. They putting their thing up next to God there, telling you to make a choice. Fruits and medication. Combine it, you get dead. Don't use the fruit. See, so we got to make choices. We got to make choices. See, I go to churches sometimes, they love me, they invite me back. Some churches I go to, they don't want me back. Because I asked them. I don't have no problem with religion. I love religion. Because see, I look at our people, and see, I live by results. So when I look out there, I look at religious folks, I see how they live. Okay, they got some shit going on with them, but you know, they all right. I look at our folks with no religion, I'm like, ooh, you guys should probably get back into that religion thing. I don't care which one you pick. Pick one of them. Get in there. Get into the Muslim thing, get with it. Allah, Jesus, work with it. Somebody got to do something for you. Because Drake and Nicki Minaj, they got a whole other plan for you. And I'll go right into the church and I'll ask them, did Jesus tell you to drink Pepsi? If Jesus was here, would he do Pepsi commercials? What about Moses? Did Moses stop at McDonald's on his way through the woods? No KFC? What happened to those guys? What happened? Let's look in the Bible. Let's see something. Let's go in the Bible. Let's see something. Because I seen some crazy years. I seen niggas was living like 900 years. Then it was 700. Then it was like 300. Then before you know it, it was like us. So I'm looking for the difference. I'm like, okay, where's the other shoe going to drop at? What's the difference? What's the, ooh, wait, did they stop? Oh, wait a minute. They start eating meat. Read your Bible. They was living 1,000 years. Some things happened. It was in a strange place. God was like, all right, hold on. Let me give y'all some new instructions. All right, listen. We're going to have to eat some meat out here. Okay, now, no. All right, now listen. I know I said in the first chapter, okay, now, hold on. I said in the first chapter, we just going to eat herbs and veggies. Now here we go a few chapters later, now we're going to eat some meat. God, you're confusing us. You're getting crazy. God like, no. See, you're forgetting. Fruits and vegetables are plants. They have to be planted. That requires time and cultivation. So if you're somewhere and you're in the Exodus or it's a mass emergency, hurricane, flood, tornado, you don't have no food for 6 months. You got to plant that harvest and let it grow. So what you going to eat in the meantime? What you going to do in the meantime? Okay, I tell you what. You can eat some animals, right? But this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a list. All the animals that's vegetarian, you can eat. Because they walking around with what you're looking for in their stomach. All the animals that eat other animals, if you eat them, you're going to drop dead. So when you look at the list, God said you can eat animals only if you eat the vegetarians. Because they have some nutrition. All of the animals that eat other animals, they're not carrying nothing but bacteria and virus. You eat them, you're going to drop dead. That was only supposed to be a temporary fix until we could grow our own vegetables. And we ain't got to be that smart to know that. That's Hood 101, right? Don't we do that in the hood? We cut out the middleman. Right. So if the animal eats the plants, he has to use some of that nutrients to keep himself alive. So all you're getting when you eat the animal is the leftover minerals and vitamins. You got to cut out the middleman. Oh, Minister Inky, well, where you get your protein from? How am I going to get protein if I don't eat animals and I got to eat animals, so I got to get protein? Where am I going to get my muscles from? I got big bodybuilders that follows me. So I could bring them out, testimony. Or I could just do it the simple way and ask you, where does a cow get his protein from? Cow, big as shit. 700 pounds. You'll never catch a cow eating a burger. Never. Where do horses get their protein from? Horses are as muscular as you can get. Horses only eat apples, carrots, and grass. Where do they get their protein from? A gorilla will take the strongest steak-eating German white boy you could find and throw him not across the street, over the buildings, around the street. And all he eat is plants. So where he getting his protein from? I tell you, they don't have protein. They use amino acids. There's a difference. Amino acids make up protein. Amino acids are found in every living thing on earth. So amino acids is in grapes, apples, bananas, everything. It's in formaldehyde. If it's a structure, it has amino acids in it. There's no such thing that grew anywhere that you can eat without amino acids in it. So anybody asks you where you're gonna get your protein, they already know you're stupid. They already know you're not studying this information. Because otherwise, you know, you don't even need protein. Protein is something you made up. You know protein nowhere. You mean amino acids? Oh, there's plenty of amino acids all in this grass and all in these plants. Protein. Oh, we can get protein in the supermarket. Oh, okay. So now we gotta. So we talking about sovereignty. If we're not sovereign in our kitchen, in our stomach, what you talking about? Where you sovereign at? Your mind. You playing games with yourself. That's all in your mind.
Yeah, I know you threw the little Bible twist on that a little bit, right?
That's all right. Come on.
But I'm saying, I think what the brother's trying to say for us non-religious is that we never was really heavy meat eaters, right?
Correct.
And the thing that really allowed us to be right here to this day was the fact that we was like omnivores. We could eat anything. Could eat people, bats, birds, trees, nuts, fruits, berries. Where the other species of humans, they was like specific eaters. Some could just only eat plants, right? Some could just eat berries, or some could just eat meat, right? So whenever that item dried up, they died out. And so we had the ability to eat anything. But our optimum diet is never heavy in meat. You can track the African diet, right? You know what I'm saying? You might, because if you hunting your food, you ain't gonna get no meat all the time. So you should never be eating meat all the time, every day. That's a crazy thing to do to your body, right? But the reality is he's right about our diet, and we're really out of our zone. And when I say we're out of our zone, you got zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. We are zone 3 people. My fault, we're zone 1 people, means we're tropical people. That's why you always find us outside, the music, the thumping, the rhythm, right? Where you get a lot of sun, right? White people are on the ice cap, I call it. You know what I'm saying? They like zone 3 people. They pale skin, right? I got an anthropology book, right? That clearly tells you that your brown skin makes you more healthier. This is white people saying that pale skinned people are more sickly people. So the brother's right. So the white man know he's a sickly person, and your brown skin keeps you more healthy, right? But we gotta stay in sun. He talked about the vitamin D, right? We're sun people and we're out of our zone. We need to move back to the tropics, okay? That's where you flourish the most, when you're in real hot weather and you good. But when you all in these areas, you know what I'm saying, where it's real cold all the time, that's why we stay sick. You know what I'm saying? Once you get away from white people, you stop being sick. Y'all know that? I mean, that's funny though, because and I'm not just making it up, right? But white people stay more sick because of the color of their skin. And that's bad. I'm not just, you know, they can't say, that's in their anthropology work.
Well, it's deeper. The skin color, and this is the thing that we got to get past the fallacy part. The skin color just denotes the type of processes that are going on inside that vehicle. So when you see the paleness of skin, you know that there's no connection to the world around it. That's number one. There's no connection to the world around it, and that's why it's easier for them to perform certain types of acts. Evil is not, and this is the difference what I would say about a lot of blacks and white folks. Evil is not necessarily doing something that's wrong. Evil is being able to do it without a conscience about it. So in the right situation, it's no problem for any of us in this room to kill. If we don't think that we can be pushed to kill, then we're fooling ourselves. But it's a difference between being pushed to kill and being able to kill somebody and then still eat your breakfast as we talking to it like, baby, what's going on? Don't worry about this dead body right here. What you say? See, we can do that. That's where wickedness, that's where evil resides at. See, that's not in us. That's not an intrinsic quality to black folks. Now, you can turn us up, but that's not an intrinsic quality. That's an intrinsic quality to someone that's detached from the other life forms that exist here. So you will find yourself, when you're detached from the other life forms, in competition with those other life forms. And there's no higher form of competition with another thing, or no other higher way to conquer another thing than to eat it. So this is why the original cannibal is the white man. This is why when you look inside the body and you look at the white blood cell, it is a cannibal by nature. And when you look at things that grow from those things, they are cannibal in nature. And when you look at some of the illnesses that we deal with, we're dealing with the competition between this foreign genetics that we have and our natural genetics. So we have issues inside our body that are based on foreign genetics and foreign cells being there, all right? And we're getting late, so I'm gonna take like 2 more questions, personal time. I already know, I got you, I already know. 2 more questions, wrap up time, we're getting out of here. Baby, if you can hear me, 2 more questions, and then I'm coming out.
I just got one thing kind of commenting on, like you were saying, like things, like in terms of white people on where they come in connection with us. I always thought, like, when people talk about God and the all.
And I'll be at the table, so if y'all got questions about the books, the DVDs, where y'all can find the more information at, I'll be out there so we can do more one-on-one.
When people talk about the God or God and the all, or all is God or whatnot, and we are like God's intention on realizing itself, I always thought that white people were like our inner lowest qualities that we try to get.
Here's the thing, I rock with that, because friction is the parent to all creation. There's no creation, there's no progress without friction. So I get it from that point. However, my problem is when we don't identify our enemy as white folks, we lose. So on one hand, I get the philosophy where it's like, okay, we shouldn't call the white man the devil, because if the devil is running things, then technically, then we're not God because we're under the devil. That right there is when you're dealing with things from a financial, material state of affairs. Because if my thing is the devil runs things because he's in charge of material possessions, I'm already in a state of confusion. I'm already in a state of confusion, meaning white folks have a negative birth rate. Meaning white folks are they're dying faster than they're reproducing. So he can be in control of all the banks he wants to. It's other things on this planet that white folks can't control, no matter what type of technology they get, no matter what kind of computers they build, no matter what kind of guns they build. Trust me, it's things on this planet more valuable than money. Ask white folks, they would trade you all the money in the world to be able to reproduce like we do. Because see, they smart enough to turn that reproducing into wealth. That's the part we missed. That's how we let the Mexicans come here and pass us. Mexicans ain't know shit when they got to this country. All they knew was to keep reproducing. 10, 12 of them niggas running around. Nobody speak English, nobody got a high school diploma, a green card, ID, nothing. Now them niggas run all the construction sites. They in the restaurant business heavy. They getting TV. They done went right past us. Why? Because they never let the white man tell them to stop having unprotected sex. They never got confused like that. We got confused and got stupid. We didn't see God's hand coming in to save us. See, when the black on black crime was really popping and niggas was really getting clapped outside at 14 and 13 and becoming crackheads at 15, heroin addicts at 16, God said, okay, if I don't get them to start reproducing babies at 12, then we won't have none. Because they only gonna be reproducing crack and McDonald's babies. So something had to come over you to start reproducing them seeds before you adulterated them and changed them. So teen pregnancy popped up. Who told you that was a problem? Black folks or white media? White media. Soon as you start reproducing, all of a sudden teen pregnancy is the biggest problem in the world. Why? Because they thought they had you. They had crack. Crack was killing them. Crack was killing them. They had Richard Pryor burned up on crack. Crack was making the killer. We had AIDS, we had crack, McDonald's, tropical fantasy, 50 cent juices. Like, we had the niggas. We had niggas. Then teen pregnancy came. Oh, every time we kill one, 5 of them niggas pop up. And we done funded this thing with welfare because now they done figured out, okay, this is how they gonna fake it. The man gonna go out, he ain't gonna be on welfare, but the woman at home, she understands, oh shit, they done figured out how to freak the welfare. They get the babies, they're going to school, we got to figure out a new plan. Convince these black folks themselves that teen pregnancy is bad. We'll get them to condemn their own reproduction. We'll get them to disconnect with their own genetics, their own progeny. We'll get them to kick their children out when their children reproduce. You know how much parents did that? Hold on, you know how many parents kicked their children out because they was teenagers and got pregnant? Mines did. No, mines did. Kicked me out. I was in the street. So I was even more reckless now. Like, shit, I gotta steal shit from both of us. Like, this is gonna get crazy now. They're not really hiring niggas at 14. Like, what you gonna do? What your idea? Who's your daddy? I'm like, listen, you got a lot of questions, man. You don't need anybody to lift these boxes, brother. Like, I can work. You don't want to hear that. So now the society ostracizes you. What you gonna do? See? So these are the issues we got to deal with, because this is health. Because most people's not gonna come out of that with a strong self-esteem. Most people's not gonna bounce back. The system got them. They're gonna get a felony. See, I was lucky. I don't know what my daddy did or his daddy did or somebody's daddy did, but I know I did enough dirt for all of us in this room. I ain't getting no felonies. Got arrested quite a few times, but I ain't getting no felonies. So I was able to do different things. I was able to do different things where other people ran out of options. I still had some on the table. I still got it. A lot of people that's in the conscious community that teach. A lot of the reasons why we have so much riffraff in the community is because a lot of people's not here because they choose to be. See, I can say that, and it puts me in a small group with the whole conscious community. I'm here because I feel like it. I started doing this when I was getting $75,000 a year selling phones for Verizon. I can go back to that. I can't go back to Verizon the way I left it. But I can definitely pull them numbers up and send it to AT&T. Like, shit, I can do this in your store. It's like, come on. And the 75 now in this economy is probably 50, but in Georgia, I can live great with that. So I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be. A lot of people sit up here because they got felonies, they can't figure out where to hustle somewhere else at, so they came to hustle you. Ask them if they can go get a job. They can't. This is just a real good upgrade on selling incense. I don't play with this. My heart stopped. So when I tell you about somebody being close to dead, I can tell you I was all the way dead. When I came back, the nurse, my wife, everybody was confused in the room. I was like, yeah, nigga, I'm back. Where's my clothes? They was like, sir, you don't understand. Ma'am, I'm gonna need my clothes. I'm out of here. Thank you. Y'all didn't bring me back. See, I'm not confused. A lot of black folks get confused. Something happened to them, they wake up in the hospital, instantly they think the hospital saved them. Hospital ain't do shit. Them niggas just as confused as your family. They all walking around like, man, well, we tried everything. I don't know what else to do. They like, well, did you try this? Did you try that? Man, we don't do that here. This is a hospital. Meanwhile, I'm in the room waking up in the bed. Look around, my arms is like that. My leg is like that. Just this one leg, me, the pain is just us. I'm looking around, I can't do nothing else, and fear setting in, because I know I can't move nothing. And I know I'm in the hospital, and I'm thinking I'm on drugs or something. Because in my small circle, I'm the strongest, nastiest nigga that niggas know. From my neighborhood. So that's another way that I'm able to communicate to people that we don't reach, because in my small circle, they know who I was. So when I tell them, no, I'm doing this now, I'm doing that now, and they show them that I really stick to it, and they come around me and they see how I live, it means something to them. Because it don't really just sound like niggas burning incense, eating grass. See? Because that sounds crazy. There's no power in that. There's nothing to gravitate to. You don't give nobody no power to gravitate to, you're never gonna get the youth. They want power. The boys want to control it and the women want to sleep with it. If you don't know that, you are out of communication with your community. Every woman wants a powerful man. And every little boy wants to be one. So if you can couch this conversation and show them power in it, you got ears. If you couch this in the conversation where it sounds like they have more chores, you have behinds. Period. So, just being able to see things from a regular standpoint and communicate that will change the way we look at health. One more question.
You said, how often and how long should we fast?
Well, here's the thing with fasting. You should fast only. Now, here's the thing. I'm glad you asked me that. I almost made the mistake. I'm a heavy pusher of fast. However, only with a trained coach.
Say it again. With
a trained coach. Fasting is more dangerous than eating if your body's not ready for that. You got to prepare your body for that. A lot of times we jump on these little trends and we don't realize because we confused. We short-term people, we're not long-term people. So if we jump on something, we lose 5 pounds in a week, it was crazy. Oprah said it, Beyonce did it, I did it, it worked, I lost 5 pounds. I told my girlfriend, she on it, she got the maple syrup and the cayenne, we all on it. We don't realize that we might have did more long-term damage to our organs than short-term, that 5 pounds gonna benefit us. And when you don't go into a fast properly and come out of a fast properly, your body goes into emergency mode, which means you store everything as fat. So you might do yourself more damage. And then when you come out of it, your body is scared of the shock you just gave it. So in preparation for the next time that may happen, we're gonna also store more stuff as fat. So this is how people lose 5 pounds and gain back 8. Because what you're doing is not a real lifestyle. I don't want nobody that's not a vegetarian to leave here and come vegetarian tomorrow. If you do that, you're playing. I know you're gonna be back to eating meat in 21 days. I didn't do it like that. I gave myself a year. I said, you know what? This year, I'm giving up beef. After that year, I'm giving up chicken. Because it does more for your health if you could give up one thing that you could really keep off than for you to give up everything and then play with it and then you back seeing Minister Inky again. I don't want to see you. It's 8 billion people on this planet. If I can't make a decent living seeing like everybody one time, I'm in the wrong business.
Marijuana's a vegetable, Minister Inky.
Yes.
So what about smoking that goody good?
The moment you smoke it, you change the molecular structure.
That's right.
So if we want to keep it the goody good, and we want to use it for its endocannabinoids and for the endocannabinoid system in the body, then we got to eat it. Right. We got to eat it. Now, if we smoke it, because we want to get high, because when we eat it, we don't get a buzz.
That's right.
So when you come to the marijuana plant, you only have one option. You can either get high, or you can get medical benefit.
That's right.
You can't do both.
That's right.
Now, if you want to eat some while smoking some, then we can take it to another level.
Hey, come on, man. They eat them brownies, yo. They be high as I don't know what, yo.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, come on, yo.
I don't know where to purchase any illegal paraphernalia. You say that? Okay. Fellas, right boys? Okay. I don't know anything about it. Narcotics. Minister Inky does not suggest or condone the use of illegal substances in any way, shape, or form or fashion. With that being said, you're gonna smoke. Also, again, what you smoke it in.
Yeah, that kill you, that tobacco.
You know, when I was little, my dad had, like I grew up in a polygynous situation that wasn't polygynous. Some of us know about that. Right? Your dad died, you got like 20 brothers and sisters, you don't know none of these things. Where you come from? Your daddy? My daddy ain't your daddy. That's my daddy. You be having beef with them niggas like, since when you was your daddy? Where you worked at? Challenging them. So that's how I grew up. My family, we lived in the Bronx. My dad had another wife that lived upstate New York. My brother Guy, Michelle, Bookie, whatever. They lived around a lot of white folks. So it gave me a larger view of the world because throughout the weekend, I'm living in my house, it's off the chain. Cracking it now, I was like, my house is great. I go upstate on Sundays, like, once we pass a certain point, like once we pass Poughkeepsie, just the sound of the trees like, alrighty then. So we get up there, birds and squirrels, and it's a new neighborhood. But I found out quickly, all these niggas getting high too. I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is like the hood in a different setting. Everything the same, but just a little different. So my neighborhood, 40 ounces, blunts, but the weed in the blunt. Go see the white boys, they drinking vodka, no beer. Like, okay, all right, less alcohol, less damage to the body. They get the same point. You gotta drink a whole 40, they're gonna drink one shot.